Kevin Stirdivant, welcome to the Forward One podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Grateful to have you here, brother. You're one of a kind and someone that is truly an inspiration. So we're excited to share some amazing wisdom with those that are here and those that will be listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the 11-year education I received under this incredible firm. So that inspired me to, shift and do what I'm doing now. But it's all a journey. Every little bit of what we learn and what we experience from the time we're born has brought us where we are today. And I think it's important to be grateful for each of those moments, be grateful for those opportunities, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what we've learned in our past. And this firm is a big part of that for me. So
thanks.
Thank you.
Grateful.
Yeah, Major. I'll never forget. I have a lasting impression of me when I first started with Keller Williams, which is almost 13 years ago. You in the office next door to me in Long Beach on that stand-up desk, relentlessly with the headphones on, making calls. So
and my desk was about the size of maybe right here, the fact that I had a office with a door in a corner, it was like, I made it.
Yep. It's all relative.
Yeah.
Right.
So just as a point of reference, what's your current volume? I know obviously we're in a challenged market for sure. So in light of a challenged market, what's your current volume? And then I know you also usually have some big goals.
Yes. So I actually just went through this with a good friend of mine the other day. And so closed in the last 12 months is 515 mil. That's per the MLS. So in this data point a friend of mine brought, that was excluding the deals that were off market. And there's been 65 million in off market. So about
70.
Yeah. In the last 12 months closed. Q1 was incredible. It was the first time we ever went over $250 million in one quarter. And quarter two was less than half of that.
Wow.
So there's highs and lows in this business. And last year was the first year we went over 500 million. I'm responsible for about 50% of what the brokerage case does. Oh. So last year, we closed 505, and myself and my team of 8, we closed about $250 million.
How many are in your firm, not on your team?
In my firm that are producing are around 45, and then there's around 60 that they just kind of hang. Yeah, they have their license and they hang out.
And for those that don't know, the firm's name is
Case,
right?
With the K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Based in Costa Mesa.
Yes, we have a Costa Mesa office. We have which is right off of with the 55. It's on Newport Boulevard. So the 55 freeway turns into Newport Boulevard. So we have a space there. And then we have a Culver City space that we've had, Culver City Arts District. And then we have a small little boutique in Atascadero, which serves the Central Coast. So Paso Robles, San Luis Obispo. Yeah.
I know you have big goals. What's your personal goal next 12 months, or do you do that next 12 months, or you're looking already for the next year?
12 months out, and then I like to break that down by quarters. So big goal that I'm sitting with right now is to personally list $1 billion. And so the way I'll talk to my team about this a lot too. It can be very difficult when you set goals, because sometimes, like I was just talking to a buddy of mine, and his goal is to close another 25 from now until the end of the year. And I asked him if he broke that down on a weekly basis, and he said he did. And so when he broke that down on a weekly basis, he said, well, I only have to list 1.2 a week. The thing is, this individual has closed $5, $6, $7, $8 million deals. And so I asked him, I said, so do you think your weekly goal of that 1.2 might actually be lowering your overall energy and your mindset? He's like, shit, I think it might. Right? Because now you're just focused on, so anyways, I like to think about every single week like it's a whole new chapter in the book. I got Monday, I work a little bit on Saturday, Sunday, you can't get me to list anything. I mean, to get me to work on a Sunday, that's for the squad. That's for the family. Like, I'm not working on Sunday. I really don't care what it is. It is very difficult to get me to work on a Sunday. That time is just too crucial. But I've had $25 million weeks before. I've had multiple $25 million weeks. So the challenge is sometimes you set this goal, but then when you break down your goal by week, it's like, something doesn't add up. So where I like to sit is, what is the most amount that I've ever done in a week? If I've done that before, why not try to do that every single week? And so when I did that math, I came up with $1 billion.
Right, because you did the $250 million quarter. Yeah.
Why do we have to go from? I remember when I did when I had my first 100 mil in close volume personally. It was the year 2020, and we could talk about the story behind it later. But it was kind of funny. But to stay on track, I've had these weeks where it's just, man, it all lined up. So why not just try to stay in that vibration? So that's my current goal, is aside from my team, aside from Case, is to personally list $1 billion. And
to that point you made, like your friend whose average price may be $4 million, his weekly goal is $1 million. It's not practical. So he's not doing $1 million.
Well, he doesn't want to do those deals.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's really important that we look at the goals that we have and you really ask yourself, does this feel right? And if it does, cool. To me, to say I'm going to do, because I've never done 500 million in personal close volume in 1 year. The most I've done is 265. So let's say then that I say I want to double that. Okay. And I say I want to do 500 mil. If you say 500 mil, then we're talking about something like 50 mil a month, a little less than that, 10 mil or so a week.
Yeah, a week. Yeah,
right.
That's right.
That's like too easy. Then I'm going to sell myself short.
Yeah, you've had that $25 million week.
Yeah, so then it almost feels deflating.
I definitely want to get, because I know you have a incredible origin story. I definitely want to get to that. And I got to tell you, I have to ask. You've got 105 people in your brokerage. As you said, 45 are working. But you have 8 on your team. So I'm at your brokerage. I see this podcast. It's actually 6. So 7 including me. It keeps getting smaller. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is that?
Interesting.
I'm curious.
No, but that's where I'm going with it. Is so now I'm
it
one
might be
of
5 next week.
Yeah.
Right.
So now I'm one of the 105, and I'm there because it's your firm. What do I need to do to be one of the 6 or 7?
Just apply effort, really. Apply effort and have game. You gotta apply effort. The model's there. The system is there. Like, I came from absolutely nothing. I didn't have parents that helped me out. I didn't have a mentor to work under. I wasn't on a TV show. I didn't grow up in Newport Beach. I didn't have any of this. I'm a high school dropout. My father went to prison at a really young age. We had everything from what he did before, disappears. Now we're on welfare. So I grew up, 1167 Camulos. Don't drive there. It's not in the projects, but it's across the street from the projects. And, I think when you grow up like that, there's a lot of limiting beliefs about what you deserve. And I had a lot of that. And so it's really been a lot of self-awareness to be able to break through and have the understanding of like, no, I do deserve to sit at a table with billionaires. While still being authentic and true to myself. So I had to work extremely hard when I finally decided to really give my career the second go round, which was January 2012, and just go for it. I was this close to leaving. My dad passed away January 2012. 6 months before that, my best friend passed away. And in the middle of those things, my daughter was born in October of 2011. So I lose my best friend in May. I lose my dad in January. And then in October, my first daughter was born. And also in January, my wife and I split up. So for the first time ever, I'm like completely separated, and I'm in this space, and I just lost my dad, and I have maybe $3,300 in my bank account, if that. I don't have a car. And I'm like, what am I doing? Mind you, years before that, like I earned my first 6 figures in the year 2001. So imagine how dumb I feel that I've made over a couple $1 million in my life career in 10 years, and I have nothing to show for it. I don't own a home. I sold 4 homes in the year 2011. I feel like a total loser. And I'm a father of 3, right? And I have 2 baby moms to pay child support to now. So I'm basically like a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I mean the whole thing. So actually,
what am I doing?
So then, what changed? What flipped? And
I felt like my life was over. I literally felt like I should just end it all. And I think you have to go to a really. I had to go. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I had to go to a really dark place of what the F is going on with my life. How am I here? And I think if you go to that place, and if you can find peace in that place, that's where the party's at. And I went there, and I had to realize that, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to be the way my dad was. I'm going to be present in these kids' lives. I know that for certain. Eli was 11. Kaizen, I think, was 4, and my daughter was 4.5, 6 months old, if that. And I'm living in this crappy apartment that I could barely afford. And I'm like, I'm not going to leave them. I know that. Okay, well, what should I do then? And I have all these friends that are in streetwear, Stussy, LRG clothing. My best friend started that company. And so I had all these connections. I'm like, I'll just go be a sales rep at one of those companies. I know how to sell. Yep. So I was going to be a sales rep at one of those companies. And I was like going to try to start a motivational life coaching company, because anybody could do that. We know that anybody could talk about being successful. You don't actually have to be successful to talk about being successful.
From rock bottom. Yeah.
And I was like, I could probably get real estate agents to pay me money for this stuff. Yeah. Everybody else does it. And so that was my plan. I was like, I'm going to be a motivational speaker guy and work at a clothing company. And my mentor, who's been my mentor forever, Thatch, he's like, bro, you're good at this thing. And I'm like, yeah, I freaking hate it though. I sold 4 homes last year. I made $50K last year, bro. Like this, I'm not like, he's like, yeah, but you know how to sell. And I was like, yeah, but like this thing's eating away at me. Like I didn't like who I was. And so he asked me a question that was the game changer. He said, well, what would you have to do to fall in love with the business? He said, if you could have it anyway, what would the business look like to you?
Great question. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you guys.
Yeah. That's cool.
We have it on tape. Yep. Okay. But I'm making a note, like, you've got to get that question.
Yep. We often ask people, I do, and Paul does too. We like, what does the ideal world look like for you in 3 years? Which is somewhat similar, but that's
but you said it differently. I'm glad we have it on tape.
I didn't like the way I dressed. I didn't like the way I talked. I didn't like the homes I was selling. I didn't like the clients I was attracting. The challenge is I didn't have a clear, focused vision of what could be. Yep. So if you don't have a clear, focused vision of what could be, you're just going to get if you don't have a vision, as they say, you're going to get the scraps of people who do. Yep. And I did not have a vision. So I started to think about, well, what would my dream company look like? And I'd be like, well, I love mid-century homes. I love modern homes. I love architecture. I also love personal development. I love the conversations about the law of attraction. I love just being human with people and not such a salesperson. And then my circle of influence is the best skaters, artists, fashion designers in the world. I would love it if I could mesh all those worlds together. And I need to make $1 million a year. Yep. So I laid out this 5-year vision, and I started to kind of catch the vibe of like, mid-century homes, personal development, dressing however I want, like impacting the youth kind of community. And it started it. And you got to understand, like, real estate's like cool now. It's all over social media. Agents make jokes on Instagram. And like the stuff that I see now on social media is insane. I mean, I'm like, you guys know what I'm talking about. There are some people who use comedy to the extreme. Right. Yeah. But so there's like, it's like a thing now. Yeah, it's like cool now.
Millions of followers.
Instagram was barely even like
no,
a thing at all.
No. I think I was the first real estate agent to ever be on Instagram in 2011. So it was more difficult at that time to think of like this vibey thing. Like wearing sneakers wasn't something you could do in 2011, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyways, I kind of start to just hang out with this vision. And then when I see the name Case, it was like a game changer. It just, honestly, I remember it like bringing me to tears because I just lost my dad. And then I think about my son, Eli. And there was just all this energy of who my dad could have been and we have the same name. His initials are KAS, my initials are KAS, and then my son Eli. And it was just like, oh shit. You know, I just felt something and I'm like, I'm going to do it.
I didn't realize that's where Case came from.
That and the Case Study House program.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I just had this energy, and then I had the game plan. It was very simple. I was like, okay, here's the game plan. I'm going to show up at 8. I'm going to make 20 contacts a day by phone, on Mojo, expires, whatever. I'm going to learn how to door knock. I'm going to knock 50 doors a day. I'm going to make sure that I do 10 lead follow-up contacts a day. And that was the general vision. And
simplicity, by the way.
In 5 years, and 2011, I made maybe 50K. 2012, which was the first year gunning, simultaneously, the market starts to shift and improve a bit. And I closed like 11 mil that year and made like 275. You know, I think that's where the Keller Williams office that I was at, like, ooh, you could go from your cubicle. We're going to give you this little space. And I got a couple plaques. I'm like, I think this is going to work. Yep. 2013, I remember my goal was like, just repeat this. I honestly felt like in 2012, I just had my 2 guardian angels, my best friend and my dad. I just got lucky. I was like, holy crap, I made $275,000. 2013, I did practically the same thing. I made 310. And then I started to get some confidence and I started to have a crew forming around me, like at that office in 2013 at Pacific Estates.
Long Beach, Pacific Estates.
Half the people hanging out with me, I see these old photos from back then. I'm like, that guy wasn't licensed. That guy wasn't licensed. That they were just like,
I know who those guys are.
They're licensed now, but at that time, I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to be here prospecting. Make some calls. And this crew starts to form at that location. That year in 310, and I went into 2014. And I remember halfway through the year, Case kind of became real because a girl joined the team named Cherie Fawn. And before Cherie, like if you were late, anybody who wanted to hang out, I was so dedicated. I'm like, if you guys show up at 8:01, you have to spend the whole rest of the morning with your shirt off and don't explain to anybody why. So like we had a little space like this and we would do these meetings and it'd be like 8 dudes and you'd see somebody walk in and like, take your shirt off, bro. And that's it. And so there would just be some random dude walking around and he couldn't explain, or it was like, you got to buy everybody breakfast or whatever. So when Cherie joined, obviously like the shirt off thing stopped. And she was very like professional, and it was like, you guys, you got to like watch your mouth, like chill on the cursing. Like Cherie kind of made us level up a bit. And I made $725,000 that year. I went into 2015. I went into 2015 and it was like, I think I could reach my 5-year goal in one, and stayed focused. So many things that year came to fruition. We took over this big space at this skate action sports trade show called Agenda, which is like Hurley, Volcom, you know, all the brands, the hundreds. And I called my buddy who owns it and I'm like, hey dude, would you be down to let like Case do a booth there? And he was like, what are you going to sell? And I was like, nothing, just like to let people know who we are. And he's like, I love that, but we'll build a house. We'll bring my van in. He gave us like a $45,000, $50,000 booth for free and set us up right next to like Obey and these other brands. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it happened. Holy S, the vision freaking happened. And yeah, I made $1,050,000 that year and like commissions after splits and everything. And it just really felt like off to the races. And it still feels like that, even more so to this day.
You had a routine, your first year.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did that routine change over time? And do you still have a routine today that is like
my team will tell you
solid?
I battle that conversation every single day because like these days I'm listing so much crazy stuff. So many crazy things are happening. Lord willing, I open escrow today on a $30 million double end.
Wow.
And so I'm entering into like an ultra luxury market now, but I'm not grinding at the same level that I was before. But I know I have that in me. So I'm constantly working through this with my coach of like beating myself up all the time because I'm doing and achieving so many of my goals, but I'm not applying that same
rigor.
And I have a difficult time just chill, dude. Just chill out. It's happening.
Yep.
So
there's a bit of like you talk about the law of attraction and all that. There's a bit of a like be the thing and let it come to you. And on the other hand, like there's a grind to this game.
Yeah.
And so how you got to balance.
I think you have to go through that before. I don't know if you just graduate to aligned, and if you did, then that's awesome. That wasn't my journey. I had to kind of earn those stripes and knock 1,000 doors a month for 5 years straight. And nobody could take that away from me. You know, like you can tell me a street address. Kev actually, because Kev and Dina, they're incredible and they're doing a ton of MCM stuff. He sent a video. I don't even think he said the address. He sent a video in Laguna Beach from inside someone's living room. And I knew the address, right? He said a video. And I was like, bro, I've been inside. You know what I mean? Like I've been on the doorsteps of probably 97% of every single home in Laguna Beach, in Newport Beach, in Costa Mesa.
That's amazing. And I just got to comment on a couple of things. First of all, I wrote down authenticity is magnetic because that's when you finally connected to your true passion, your authenticity, and it's magnetic. And I just say that to everyone, like recognize, like be true to yourself. And when people can feel and sense that and they gravitate toward that, particularly because it also leads to passion and it leads to consistency, right? Because
yes. And I think as you start to reach into new heights, this thing is going to happen where you think you have to change who you are. And like, ooh, if I'm going to step into that price point, I better get a different car. I better dress a little, and I don't think that's true. I think that the more authentic you are, you don't want to do deals with people that don't like you for who you are anyways. And I think if you work your ass off enough, you start to find the people that you match with. You know when you're a match with somebody, you know it when it's a vibe. And I think the more you just get yourself out there, the more confidence you have.
And look, everyone grows and evolves, right?
Yeah.
So your authentic self will evolve, right? To your point. So you'll see things differently, hopefully, because that's what growth's all about, but you're still being authentic.
Yeah.
And I also come back to what you said and about planting the seeds and the grind for so long, and now you're reaping the rewards.
Right.
It's what I always come back to, like play the long game and the seeds you plant now don't harvest till often way in the future. And most people don't get that instant return on their
5 years.
time.
I mean, this deal that I'm working on, it's a 6.5, 7 year deal. Yeah.
And most people don't have the discipline, the foresight to recognize that. They don't see the return on that time and they just don't keep going.
Yeah.
And I think I applaud you for that because that's greatness. Greatness does not happen overnight.
Well, skateboarding was my best teacher. Skateboarding taught me that the only way you're going to figure things out, the only way you're going to pull this off is if you go through massive failure. You got to go. I mean, there were times where I would be trying a trick as a 13, 14-year-old, same trick for 4 hours, just same thing for 4 hours, just trying to, and then you finally land it. And I saw a fashion designer named Micah Mary post something today, and he said, it was a post, and it said, if you knew you were only 30 failures away from achieving your goal, how fast would you want to fail? If you knew you were only 30 failures away from achieving your goal, how quickly would you try and fail?
I mean, such a valuable lesson.
Yeah, because it is, I think, fear that keeps us inside our box. A couple of comments, but I gotta ask. There's more questions. When you were talking about that motivation, like take your shirt off, and the like, just the camaraderie. One of the things that we take our lessons in different places, and I hey, I want to be fit. So, I would go to the gym. It's almost like a work day, same problem. I go to the gym and I talk more than I work out. Right. Right. And this is what what realtors do, you know? And I'm like, I'm 2.5 hours in the gym. If I really do like 40 minutes worth of stuff, and then I found this thing called Barry's Boot Camp. Originally when it's like, you could see it from here. Right. And Barry was teaching Barry's Boot Camp, and he meant business. He gave you a t-shirt if you threw up. So nice. it was old school. Nice. And you had to be on time. Right. And I run late. So I come late, and Barry's like, all right, do 20 push-ups. Where I'm like, all right, whatever, And then it's like late again, 50 push-ups. Then it's 100, but I can't do 100 anyway. What am I going to do? I'm like, okay, well, right. Day 4, I'm late. And half the people are on the treadmills, half the people are on, doing the weights, and he's switching between. Right. 4th day, I'm late. He goes, okay, Paul's late again. He couldn't do the 100 push-ups last time. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Everybody stop what you're doing. Yeah. Everybody do 50 push-ups. Right. And Paul's going to watch you do the 50 push-ups. And dude, after that, I had accountability. Great. Everybody in that class was mine.
Needs to do 50 push-ups for driving to the wrong sunset. Mateo, you should do 100 push-ups at least for...
Or we all do the 100 push-ups. Then he'll right? Yeah, right. So Mateo will watch us do the 100 push-ups. And that's when I was like, that's when I learned 2 things. And one was that the thing about Barry's Boot Camp is it started at a certain time. It was over at a certain time. I worked my rear end off for that 1 hour. And when I came out, I was more fried than if I spent 3.5 hours in the gym. So I figured out this thing about work and, the size of the time and whatever, that work changes inside the size of the time. And then also that group accountability.
Yeah. I have coached so many people through CASE. There's been over 250 people that have joined CASE. So that means there's over 130 people who have left CASE. There's a waiting list of like another 100. There's 10 that have wowed me. And this is here's everything you need.
Let me tell you what to do. Here's a car,
here's money, I've had individuals live at my house. Here's everything you need to succeed. And there's 10 that have wowed me.
We interviewed Kevin, and I gotta tell you, this is the mindset, okay? We were doing an interview series at Keller Williams Beverly Hills, and we interviewed Kevin. And we were getting ready to interview another guy that was like at the beginning of his journey, but I really saw something special in him. And we interviewed Kevin, and Kevin packed the house, and he said, I'm going to tell you every single thing. I'm going to tell you every secret I have about selling real estate, and he just went on and on and on. He's like, here's my latest secret. Here's, all this stuff. And then I went to get this other young guy who I thought was like a rising star. And I'm like, hey, we want to interview you. And he's like, well, what are you going to ask me? I'm like, I'm going to ask you, like, how'd you get from 0 to whatever? And he's like, why do I want to do that? I'm like, Why not? He's like, well, I don't want to give everybody my secrets. Dude, this guy had no secrets,
Right.
you know? And I'm like,
The thing is, it's all, I could say, I am such an open book, my exact listing presentation, everything.
Yeah.
It's from within. You have to get really clear of how do you want to be remembered? I mean, like, it sounds kind of dark, but my greatest motivation came from death. It came from losing the two closest people to me and life, right? It was literally, I'm in the middle of losing the two closest male figures in my life. And in the middle of that, this little angel being born. What do you want to do? What are you going to do? And I just see so many people, they're just so water cooler about it. This is the first year where I stopped doing meetings. So for 13 years straight, I led a meeting every single day at 8 a.m. every single day. And last November, I started to feel a little different. Like, I had a team member who's not on my team anymore hand me this letter of all the things that they would want more of and could make the team operation better. And I was just like, it just made me feel different. And the funny thing is, I probably requested that letter, right? But then when I read it, I don't know, I felt down. I was like, these guys actually have no idea what I'm bringing to the table. They have no idea. Yep. I'm over this. Yep. And it started this feeling in me of, I don't want to spend any time with anybody that's not at least a little bit to the level of commitment that I'm at. Like, I'm not expecting everybody to be as psychotic, but you got to be willing to at least run an 8-minute mile. You know what I mean? And if you're a 10 or 11, it's all good, but you can't, I don't want to do that this year. And I wanted, and it took me a while. The first 4 months, I went down to 3 meetings in January. It was like a big deal. I'm only going to do 3 meetings. And then in April is my birthday. It was my 43rd birthday. And I was like, you know what? For my birthday, I don't want to do any meetings in May. I didn't do any meetings in May. And I stopped doing a coaching program that pays me a good amount of money. I was like, I don't want to do this right now. I just want to focus on one thing because I wear 4 hats: CEO, team leader, coach, and agent. I just want to see what happens if I could just wear one hat for a little bit. So I didn't do any meetings in April. And then May came and I was like, I still don't feel like doing any meetings. I didn't do any meetings in May. And then June. And we're now in July, and I still haven't done any meetings. It's been about 100 days, and I feel so good. And I know there's some people who want me to start doing some meetings again, and I am going to start doing some stuff, and I might even start doing a little coaching, but it's going to be a lot different. And I just think that I had to take some time to figure out what was really important to me right now. And what was really important to me right now is not, come on, guys. No, I've been doing this for long enough. I'm gonna go list 500 mil, and I'm gonna crack the code first on the 500 mil, and then I'm gonna crack the code on a billion, and then I'm gonna have something different to share when I do that. But I can't deal with so many people who aren't fully committed and aren't really willing to put in the hard work. I can't deal with that anymore.
And look, I always say you can't please everyone, and trying to is just futile and not good for anyone. And if you're not in a good place as a leader, which you certainly are, then you're not in a position to give to anyone.
My team is stoked right now because I have 100 mil active for my team to sit like. I asked my our MCA gal what has been generated from my open houses over the last 18 months. $750,000 has been received from somebody sitting at one of my listings saying hi, and they, you know what I mean? So that's really the best thing that I could do right now at this stage of my career is go and list epic properties for my team to leverage and build their careers from.
Yeah, and I think it also, is when you take the amount of action you take, which I know you do consistently, you collect a ton of data, and then you trust your intuition a lot more to be willing to adapt and evolve. And if you're not willing to adapt and evolve, I always say you're going to get left behind. So it's like listening to your intuition to that something was telling you, you may not be able to pinpoint at the moment, that I need to focus on this, which is a change from what I was doing before to ultimately achieve my purpose more effectively.
It's different for everybody too. And while I've stopped doing like the group meetings thing, stopped doing my group coaching thing, it's given me more bandwidth to spend time with agents who are committed on a one-on-one level. So I'm spending, Justin and I are like every Tuesday practically, we're here hanging, we're building, we're growing, and I have more energy to give them for what I think matters the most right now. In a challenging season like right now, you better work. This is not the time. Like I'll walk by the office in the morning and it'll be like 8:45 and like, my lender buddy, who's also my uncle, he just talks all day long. And then other guys who don't have anything going on, they're sitting there at 8:45. They're talking about car stuff or whatever. And honestly, it just blows my mind that early in the day, you don't have a game plan to attack your goals. And you're talking about, and I love cars. Do not talk to me about cars at 8:45 in the morning. This is like those first 2.5, 3 hours, you should be so locked in. You should do nothing but talk to your wife, husband, kids, talk to God, get locked in and just go. The way I break my schedule down, there's really 4 opportunities. There's 4 appointments every day, right? And these appointments are going down with or without you. You got two appointments in the AM, 2 appointments in the PM. My appointments are going to get filled up by one of 3, what I call impact zones. So I'm either closing, I'm either prospecting, or I'm creating. And I have to fill up those 4 buckets with one of those 3 impact zones. If I'm not operating at my highest and best self. And I'm frustrated about that. So just so everybody knows, I don't fill up my schedule and I have that 4 days a week. So there's 16 opportunities. Yesterday was my coaching session with Angie, and I was able to show her 9 things. 9 impact zones. That means I was short 7 impact zones. What did I do? I don't know. And it drives me crazy. And I get frustrated that I've wasted time. And I think that's a valuable thing. If you value your time so much that when you're not using it at your highest impact zone, you're frustrated. That's a positive thing. For most agents, they're like, oh yeah, I went to broker preview and I talked to and I ran some comps and is that all you do? Is that it? Is that all you have to do to reach your goals? The challenge, I think, is some agents don't know what they have to do to reach their goals. And so I think step 1 is have a goal. Have a very clear volume goal. Number 2, super clear volume goal. And then break that down. And what's your average sales price? Okay, great. Break that down to how many appointments do you need to go on to reach that goal? Okay, great. Now, how many contacts does it take for you to achieve a lead? How many leads to an appointment? This is like ChatGPT could figure out this game plan for you. So it's not hard to figure out the game plan. What is difficult is springing into action, not getting distracted and locking in. But I'll tell you, from where I've grown to and what the people who I've coached and trained, and I've seen people go from, at that Pacific Estates office, there were 2 agents who had just gotten out of prison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know one of them.
I know both of them well.
What I had to do and go through to help these guys get going, and they're now superstars in the game. Superstars. I don't want to hear what anybody's excuse is. Either you are committed or you're not. And if you're not committed, please don't. I don't want to hear it.
You're either interested or committed.
That's it. And it's available. It's available for everybody. But I think if you don't have a game plan, whether it's social media or prospecting or door knocking, I don't think. Like, there's lots of people that are social mediating their way to the top. And there's lots of people who are prospecting and going that route. And there's
far fewer that are social media in their ways to the top, by the way.
You have to know that at the end of the day, it's about your up to bats. And I think if nobody cares about your views. Nobody cares about that. That doesn't matter. Show me how many appointments you're going on. Show me your appointments. And if you're not going on 2 to 3 appointments a week, then everything you're doing is broken. I don't care how many views you're getting. I don't care how many doors you're knocking. If you're not getting up to bat 3 times a week, 10 to 12 times a month, the reality is 10 to 20% of those up to bats, something's going to come out of it. 2 deals are going to come out of that. Right. And so if you can trust that math, and if you do 24 deals a year in Southern California, you're a superstar.
You're doing great.
But what does the average agent do? 6, 7, 8 deals. So where's the rest of the time?
The average
average producing agent.
Yeah,
and
the
quite
average
frankly, there's less than 50% that are producing.
Is it because agents don't know what to do? No, I don't think so. Everybody knows what they need to do. I think what it is they haven't really clarified who they are, what their values are, what their vision is. And it's easier to stay comfortable and stay where they are than to really chase the vision.
Yep. And they overcomplicate it entirely. Like, and that often becomes an excuse and an impediment to not doing it. It's simple.
I think you can go in. I think you could get into it's almost crippling, right? Like, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do so? What should I do? Should I door knock? Should I go do a podcast? What should I do? So I think everybody has to be locked into what is your skill set. Maybe you're the sphere of influence person. Maybe you're that person who it's your kid's school and it's this, who knows? But you do need to have some kind of
lock in.
Yeah.
And
who's ever having the most conversations is doing the most business. And then they become more purposeful. What you said, 50 calls.
Yeah.
100.
My thing was 50 doors a day.
50 doors a day.
Yep, 50 doors a day. And that was one of the 5 things. So the 5 things that I started with to go from 0 to $1 million in income and commissions earned at a very difficult time, at a very low average sales price. Also, my average sales price from 2012 to 2015 wasn't even $1 million. So that's the other thing. It was like, I got to do a lot of deals. I had to do like 50 deals to get to my first $1 million.
Say it again, 50 doors a day.
So it was get to the office at 8. And that was, in the beginning, that was get to the office at 8 and just get into the right mental state. After about a year, I had a bunch of people at the office at 8 with me. And so I think by default, I developed this accountability because all of a sudden, I was like, oh shit, I got to be there at 8, and it was like I had this crew of people who were depending on me and to teach us to learn twice. So that was really helpful, but I didn't have that for the first 18 months. So at the office at 8, 50 doors, 20 phone contacts. So I was doing Mojo, and I still do Mojo to this day. So circle dialing. And then it was also 1 post on IG a day. So, and this was early. This was a long time ago. I remember looking at my post and it was like 11 likes, if that. Oh, yeah. And 6 of those were like my friends and, 5 likes from people that I sort of knew.
So you throwing out so much stuff. I want to revisit some of it. One thing is, whatever goal people have, I always coach them to do whatever that goal is, to do 20% more.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you're really a must-have is $1 million in GCI. Yeah. A must-have is $200,000 in GCI. Right. I'm like, set the thing up for 240. Set the thing up for $1 million too. Then go all the way backwards, because that way, I came up a little short. You're still ahead. So essentially creating a game that you can win at.
That, and I think to add to that is, what's the carrot? Like, what's going to happen? Yeah. And then feel that carrot. Are you remodeling your house? Are you buying your mama house? Are you getting a watch you want? Well, what is going to be the thing? Yeah. So I'll tell you what pushed me into my first 100 mil. I wasn't having a big jump up. It was like a rocket ship to my first 50 mil. And then when I achieved the 50 mil, I kind of stayed at 50, 55, 60, 50, 55, 60. I didn't have like a much bigger breakthrough. And in 2019, you figure at this point I'm making 7 figures for like 5 years. I feel like I reached this point where it was like, I really want to have this car, you know, because we had started to buy Airbnbs. I bought my family our dream home on a, you know, really fat lot backing up to this private country club. It was like the dream home. And I'm like, I want this car. And my wife thought it was absolutely insane. She's crazy. It's all good. That was the alarm that went off in my wife's head when I told her.
It was right on time.
I wanted a Ferrari. I wanted a Ferrari 458. And I'm like, babe, we have this. We have savings. We've done these things. And she's like, that's insane. And my wife is very smart with all of our money. And I'm like, what do I have to do to get it? Which is the wrong question to ask my wife. Right. She said, if you want to get a Ferrari, it needs to be not add to our monthly debt. So it needs to be all cash, and it needs to be no more than 10% of our income. So the Ferrari I wanted was $230,000, which means that in order to do that, I would need to do $2.3 million, which means I would need to close $100 million. And she goes, and it can't be your team's deals. It needs to be just yours. I'm like, what the? We literally were in therapy over this, and we're sitting with our therapist, Tony. And I was like, Tony, she's being super unrealistic. Like I've earned it. We make 7 figures now. Like we have savings. Like we're good. And she was like, well, a Ferrari is a very unrealistic car. Your wife is just matching the car to your goal. I think it's really fair. And I was just like, so
they do agree with the
lies. The most I had ever done was 60. So boom, I'm like, you know what? Fine. That's what I got to do. 100 mil, 8.3 a month, 100 mil, 8.3 a month. And I thought about the vision. I felt the vision. I went and test drove the car. I got behind the car. I felt the freaking car.
Yes.
And 8.3 a month. I remember by March, I was at 12 million with 4 million in escrow. And I was like, holy crap, this isn't super off, but it's possible. And then COVID hit. And I remember telling my coach, like, all right, just scratch the Ferrari thing. I just need to survive. Let's change the goal from 100 to 60. So I recommend agents to change their goal a lot. If you set a goal and then all of a sudden you're massively behind that goal, freaking change the goal to a goal that you can feel and that doesn't give you anxiety. So all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? Forget all that Ferrari talk. I just need to survive this year. Let me just get to 60. I don't want to go backwards. By August, I was like above I think I was like at almost 60 mil or something by August. And I'm like, holy crap, September, October, November, December. If I could do 10 mil a month,
I can make it happen.
I could freaking get this Ferrari. And you know, the market through COVID actually boomed. December 15th, 2020, I'm at 101 million closed.
Wow.
And so on my license plate of my Ferrari, it said Case 101. And it was a really special experience. Not like, who cares? It's cars or whatever. It's not about that. To me, it was the fact that I remember we were in Montana and my car gal sends me the car, and I was like, that's freaking it. That is the spec. That is it. Wired her the money. And I remember we get home and my wife, it was going to take like a week or something to get it. We get home and my wife told me I had this appointment, and long story short, the Ferrari was just chilling there in the driveway. And it was like, oh my God, holy crap. But I share all that just because the 100 mil seemed like ridiculous when I set the goal. It seemed crazy. I don't care what the goal is that you guys might set for yourself. Don't listen to anybody else but yourself. Don't listen to anybody else but yourself and God. If you feel that you can reach this goal, like I'm over here talking about, I'm going to list $1 billion.
Yep.
Right? If I were to talk to a regular real estate coach, I'd be like, well, you should probably make a proper. No, I don't care. If I'm feeling it, if I can trick my mind to believe that I could list 23 mil a week for 47 weeks, that's all I have to do.
Yep. It gets back to like possibility thinking and then action.
Yeah.
Who was it that says like, hey, take your goal and 10x it, and then all of a sudden think about what you need to do to make that happen. It changes your thinking because, it just changes how you look at everything and what you need to do and what you need to do foundationally to make that happen. And I always come back to, if someone else can do it, why can't it be you?
Yeah.
Right.
I did that 10X thing in a class because I was teaching. It was sort of a motivational thing. And then we went through it was business planning, went through the whole thing, and people wrote down their number. And I said, okay, what could get in your way of hitting your goal? And because they had probably been through the class enough times or whatever, everybody's like, nothing's going to get through my, stand in the way of my goal. I go, okay, is your goal, write the goal down. Right. Everybody write it down. And then after they wrote it down, because I went up to the board, like, what's going to stop you from hitting your goal? And I got nothing to write. Yeah. I go, okay, write the goals down. Now add a 0. So now I got the guy that had a woman that had like $230,000. Now she's looking at 2.3 million. Yeah. And so on and so on. I go, okay, well, now tell me what's going to stand in the way of that goal. Right. And man, I couldn't write fast enough. Right. I'm like burning up the paper, and I'm like, wow, all I do is do that. Now, like, you guys have a PhD in how it can't be done. Yeah. And the things that I wrote down were like mind blowing. Like the one woman said, I'm not going to quit going to my kids' soccer games. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, who said that, I actually know a woman that does 3 million a year and she's at the soccer. Now she might be selling houses at the soccer games, but she's not missing this. So who said that? And I even had somebody that said that God was going to stand in the way. And I'm like, crazy. Wow, how are you ever going to,
that's what we do.
I agree with you.
That's what we do.
You won't make it,
Right. It's those limiting beliefs, right? And that's, how do you overcome them, and how do you see things in a different light?
Discipline equals freedom. So if you have the ability to lock in and figure out what you're going to do to reach your goal, you have freedom. Last Friday, my wife was like, hey, Kaizen's wrestling thing starts we live in Costa Mesa. She's like, Kaizen's wrestling starts at 5, get there, whenever you can, and with wrestling, it's insane because depending on how he does, we could be there for 90 minutes or we could be there for 5 hours. And so I was like, I'll be there right at 5. And so it went from 5 to 9 on a Friday. So I had to drive from Costa Mesa. I was there, caught every single match. And then because they did so good, that Saturday morning, we had to be there at 7 and we didn't leave till 3. I mean, it was like crazy. It was like 11 hours in this auditorium. And sure, I could have gone and checked in on how the team's doing on these opens and all this stuff. But I told my wife, I'm like, there's nothing that's pulling me away from this. Like seeing my son give it all he has. I put both of my phones on airplane mode. I don't care. I'm going to experience what's most important to me, and nothing's going to throw that off. No deal is going to take me away from missing my kids' wrestling competition or my daughter's jujitsu competitions. It's not going to happen. Like, we literally have not missed a date night I think last night we added it. I think it's been 13 years straight. Wow. We have every single reason to miss a date night,
Yep.
It's what you prioritize.
Sometimes we don't like each other.
Yeah.
That's a great reason to miss it. Sometimes I did something stupid the night before and didn't respond properly. And we know there's a little vibe that I didn't fix. And doesn't matter. We don't miss date night. If it's something huge, well, we know it's going to be Thursday, but Wednesday for the last 13 years, we are on date night because if not, life gets in the way. So the same is true for your prospecting. The same is true for this brand that you're going to build on social media. If it's important enough for you, you will find a way.
Yeah, and it's
If
that
it's
clarity.
not, you'll find an excuse.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to you, and it's understanding your purpose, having a plan, and taking the highest level of personal responsibility. It's like we can create all the excuses in the world, right?
You have to ignore it. You have to ignore stuff. On the way here, there was a conference call that I was supposed to be on, and I just put it on mute. I didn't want to hear it. I was like, I gotta go talk to people about positive stuff right now. This call sucks. So my team was on
Cutting
it.
yourself a break.
I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
this is annoying.
Yep.
I don't take that. It's bad enough Mateo drove us 45 minutes in the wrong direction. My vibe's going to be all jacked.
Yeah.
So you just got to ignore it. Ignore the BS and lock in. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yep.
So I'm sitting here with two guys that are absolutely incredibly disciplined to a point where it would be foolish to think like I'm going to look around and find, half the room is going to be, and I feel like I am not. So one of the ways, and I deal with Josh all the time, so he's, I'm looking at like discipline. And one of the things that I do, and so I'm speaking to the rest of the 99% of the world that's not as disciplined, is creating a game that you're going to be able to win at. Yeah. So for example, because you mentioned your kids, and that's why I did that goal setting through thing before, because I'm when I do that goal setting through, I'm creating a 20% buffer for me to have like a little mess up and still hit my thing. And you talked about date night. So one of the things that I did with my daughter is I wanted to show up and be at her school events. And I found myself like the rest of the dads, like, oh, it's too busy. It's in the middle of the day. It's whatever. So I took her school calendar and I put every parent event into my work calendar. Right. Now, here's what I did that was different. What I did was different was, it's like, if you want vacation, I heard we both heard Gary Keller say, like, if you want vacation, just schedule the vacation in your calendar before everything else. And then you got your vacation. That's not what I was doing. Right. Okay. I put every possible school meeting I could be at, and then it would show up and I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't have time for that. I'm not going to that. Right. Oh yeah, never mind. And just by having every single one in there, I would turn up to approximately 50% or 40%. Right. And then the dads were like, dude, you're making us look terrible. You're at every event. Like what's going on? Yeah. Like you went from, right. And it was just setting that game up to win so that I didn't have to be at all of those things. Right. It was just there. And I was able to say yes enough times. It put me in like the top half of 1 percentile in terms of parent attendance at things. And so it's just like, how do you create a game that you're going to win? So you get to a certain, because you get with the same thing. It's like, I do a lot of hot yoga, and you go and they've got the 30-day challenge, or especially January 1st. Oh my, I literally went in there and I took photos every day of the 30-day challenge. Man, you couldn't even get in the room. Everybody has their stars up on day one. I'm like, how many days is it going to take before 50% of the crowd is going to drop off? Yeah. And it happened faster than I thought. It was like day 8 and like 50% were already out, and I'm
we did a 30-day challenge at my office, and there was only, I think the prize was 11 grand, and how many people joined? I think there were 30. Yeah. And then 3 were left at the end. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I do is I have this intention of going every single day. And then I actually, because there's a program for it, and I went back and I looked at the last 3 years, and I had gone 600 days in 3 years. Nice. So my goal was not actually to go 365 days a year. My goal was actually to go enough that I would have like great fitness and balance and all this, right. And I can tell you right now, if I set my goal at 200, right, I wasn't. So I sort of know yourself and create a game that's going to get you where you want to go and be. And I look back, I'm like, I tell people that, I did 600 classes in the last, I mean, that's got to be the top half of 1% at that yoga studio.
I think that for me, and you talked about commitment earlier. Commitment is unique to the individual. Mm-hmm. So what can you, being really honest with yourself, like what can you personally commit to right now?
Yeah, not overdoing it.
And not like,
right.
Like, cause people ask me like, what do you eat? How do you work out? And I'm happy to share that with them. And my first answer is not going to likely be effective for you because you will not do it consistently. You know, it took me 40 years to get here, you know, and so I think it's being honest with yourself and making a true commitment.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing, a commitment is a baseline, it's a floor, right? A goal is aspirational. Mm-hmm. Goals are great, but like what can you honestly commit to such that you know it's non-negotiable, that you can do it consistently and sustainably, and then you eventually raise the bar. Once that becomes a habit, it becomes your new floor. You continually raise the bar. Yeah. So and to me, I think that's how I know it's how I operate, you know? And I think people are not really honest with themselves and they're not authentic.
Well, it's like you got to give yourself grace and learn through the process. You know, I realized I lost my dad from alcoholism and my best friend, kind of similar. And so you would think that, like, my dad literally destroyed his entire liver. It was, you know, he drank himself to death. And so you would think that that might impact me sooner, that maybe I should chill out. But I actually did the opposite. I kind of went even harder after he was gone. And then summer 2013, I had a little too long of an episode where I was like, well, I think I have a problem. It's actually my dude Caesar and I, we both at the same time. Caesar here? Right when I started talking about it. Right. At the same time, I was like, hey, bro, I think I want to try to be sober, which I didn't even tell my wife because I knew she'd be through the roof. She would never think that this is something I would commit to. But point being, Caesar was like, bro, let's do this. I've been thinking that too. So I just celebrated 9 years of sobriety.
Wow.
Caesar, thank you. Caesar celebrating 12.
Wow.
We started at the same time.
Yeah.
So it took me 3 years, because after maybe I went 100 days, I'm like, oh, actually,
I'm good.
Actually don't have a problem.
Yeah.
So I can still smoke. And then, this is working out. And then catch me at the wrong place with the wrong people. I'm going to the moon. I wasn't an alcoholic. Like, I didn't drink every day. But what my therapist counselor gal told me is that I have a broken off switch. So if we turn that thing on, we're not going to turn it off. And so until it's a must and I could go back into work and whatever. So, you have to like be honest with yourself, like you said, and gauge, like, is this real? Is this working? Is this honest? In every area, I practice the 7 equities, and it's your mind, your body, your soul. My first 2 hours of the day from 4:11 to about 6:45, I'm in a process just trying to find it. Wake up, I go straight into my sauna. It's 4:20-ish in the morning, and I just get to writing my prayers, my gratitude. At about the 23-minute mark, it starts getting hot, and I don't want to sweat out on what I'm writing on. So I get out of the sauna, put my book down, and I get into the plunge. I'm at 720-something days of a 39-degree, 3-minute plunge. It's not even 4:45 yet. And then I get off to the races, and I'm either boxing or with a trainer or whatever. I get home at about 6:15, 6:30, and I'm ready to go. Like, I have proven it to myself at that point that I have integrity, that I am my word. I feel great. The endorphins are running, and my kids aren't even up yet. And so I think the first thing you have to be able to do if you expect to provide and serve the world is you got to take care of yourself. You got to fuel yourself up. You got to get to, I don't wake up at a level 9. I'm at like a 3.5, 4.
Especially at 4:11.
Dude, at the highest.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And after sauna, after plunge, I'm ready. After gym, super ready. That's like the number one non-negotiable. My neck is all tweaked right now. I still walked in at 4:58. I'm like, hey, bro, my neck is like super tweaked. He's like, all right, cool. We'll work legs. You know, as I was walking out, my wife's like, why are you going to the gym? I had to get work on it yesterday. I was like, I got to get going. Like, I got to go. I got to, my neck's dealing with issues, not my legs.
Yep.
Like, we got to go. So.
What time do you go to bed?
I got to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
I get like 5.5 to 6.5
Me
at
too.
best. Yeah, but it's tough because
I'm
my daughters
counting it.
like to sleep in our rooms, and like I don't want to take my daughters out of our rooms. I have a 3-year-old, and I have how many days old? She was born on the 10th. I have a 3-year-old and a 12-day-old granddaughter.
Congratulations, bro. I saw that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats,
You know what I mean?
man.
Wow, yeah.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like life goes by really, really
Yeah.
quick. I want to like soak up all the time with the kids. So if the girls are watching cartoons in our room and it's like at 10, I'm like, girls, you just got to turn this off. Dad's going to go to bed. But I still want them there.
Yep. I can relate, man. Big time. Yep. Yeah. It's again, knowing yourself and really being true to, like, you're only cheating yourself.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't have enough confidence in yourself, there's no way anyone else is going to have confidence in you. So, and you can't fake that, you know, and I think coming back to that authenticity, and it comes from commitments that you make to yourself.
Yeah.
And then that allows you to like give a lot more readily to other people.
It's a guarantee that anybody that is in real estate that has some sales game can get to a good 7-figure income in about 5 years. With the people that I have coached and trained and seen where they came from and seen them get to that 7-figure income, if they do all the things, they could get there in about 5 years. But they got to be willing, in my opinion, to do all the things. You know, marketing and branding is a big part of that.
Yep.
So I love marketing and branding. I obsess over ads and ad campaigns, and I write scripts, and a big majority of the content that you see on my page is a script that I scribbled down on a piece of paper. And then I have the greatest team on the planet that actually makes that script real and have it look like magic. But you're all in sales. So if you don't have a marketing expert with you, big surprise, y'all, you better become a marketing expert. Marketing and branding.
It's
So how
one of
much
the
of your-
things that it's one of the things you've always been really, really top notch, you know. And
I mean, we go to your office. I mean, that's in and of itself, like just the aesthetic and the look and the feel are extraordinary.
passion.
I
I
love
can tell.
marketing and ideas, and like, I just love the idea of like creating a story around something. And if I could get people inspired or make people laugh, you know, for several years, and to this day, we have like the highest list to sales price ratio of any agent. If you take any agent in Orange County doing more than 150 million, I know that I have the highest list to sales price ratio. Last year, I was the only agent to have more than 100% list to sales price ratio. I'm sorry, one other gal, but her numbers were slightly below mine. 2 people, 100% or more list to sales price. And then the average is 93, whatever. And, you know, we've been known to get list here, land here. I did a deal 4,995, 5,2, 5,5, 5,7, 5,8, $1 million. I sold a home $1 million over the list price. And I'm like, how could I tell the story that we know how to like shoot the price up?
And so staying on that, because I was going to ask you about the marketing, like how does that impact your business? You already just told us, like, so
a lot. It's anything. It's how you buy shoes. It's why you go and spend a crazy amount on a drink at Air One. Like, and so it's storytelling. So I'm up late and I'm like, okay, we shoot the price up. We get it up, man, all the time.
So it's not necessarily,
we get the price up all the time. It always happens. We can always get it up. And I just saw this blue Viagra pill like pop up in the left part of my brain. And I was like, what if I kind of made a joke Viagra commercial? And we fully made this video with the actual past client. And she was talking about how the sales price was dead and it just wasn't happening. And they just couldn't get it up. And the agents couldn't get it up. And the next thing you know, this guy comes in and he's talking about, I was having issues and nothing was working. And then I found Case. And it shot up like crazy. It worked and fades to black, blue pill, and it said Case on it. We never said that exact thing, but it was like,
you're being innovative.
My goodness. I actually thought that it would do a lot better than it did, but it did pretty good.
And so coming back to that, because I always think, the marketing stuff is like, how many leads are you generating? And it's not so much that, it's more about when you go to a listing appointment, you're showing your track record of what you're doing, list to sale. And that in and of itself, and obviously you got to do that effectively. You got to market the properties really well, get exposure, show them in a different light, we
just did a run club at this open house on Saturday and there were 110 people there. I don't know if this freaking run club is going to help sell the house, but you got to do something. I'm basically a party promoter at this point. Here's an art show at an open house. Here's a movie night. Here's a run club. It's like whatever you could do to grab some attention in a way that's authentic to you. I like to make people laugh. I like to inspire people. So if I could come up with some concept that does one of those two things, I'm going to do it.
And is that basically what you attribute that list to sale price to largely? It's like you're really creating just more attention on that property than any of your competitors?
No, that's because of price. So my theory when it doesn't work as well right now, but my theory prior to this year was list $5,000 below the no-brainer number to achieve 10% over. So if it's worth $5 million as a no-brainer, great. And it's a no-brainer at $5 million. Nobody's going to argue at $5 million. Put it for $4,995 opposed to what the seller wants to do, because the seller wants to put it for $5,200 or $5,500 for sure. No, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put it at $4,995. A battle's going to happen and we're going to get you to your $5,300, $5,500. That's the way to do it.
How do you combat the seller that invariably you go there, they say they want 6.
Yeah, no, I want 10. Right? But what's going to happen if we flop at this number? What's going to happen if we're wrong? What's going to happen? We're going to have to chase the market. I want buyers chasing you. So that has been what I've been sticking to for the last 12 years. It doesn't always work, but I think I'm very vicious with being brutally honest about price. Vicious.
That's key.
I mean, you can look at my track record of how many different records that I've broken in different pockets. I just sold the highest price dollar per square foot in Ojai, and I've only been to Ojai 3 times. So like Bixby Knolls, I've never sold anything in Bixby Knolls before. I list 2 properties in Bixby Knolls. Those are the 2 homes that I listed are the only homes that have ever gone $300,000 over the list price. Both of them went $300,000 over the list price.
So take me to Ojai because or wherever, Bixby Knolls. So you obviously have a great track record. Thanks for coming to see us. We appreciate it. We're leaning towards the person that has
market
the experience in Ojai. You know, you're great, where you are, but how are you to win that?
Well, you want to identify the objection, right? So that's not a price objection. That's the objection about a local agent. Yeah. And I would say, I think that agent's amazing. I've seen their stuff. The challenge with that agent, because they're the top agent, is a lot of times when you hire the top agent in one little area, you just pissed off 3 other people, right? And their whole focus is on Ojai. My whole focus is outside of Ojai. The majority of the buyers are not coming from Ojai to Ojai. They're Santa Barbara to Ojai, LA to Ojai, Newport Beach to Ojai. So when you hire me, I'm already going to get the local guy and the local girl and all the other locals, but I'm also going to pull in where other buyers are coming from, because I'm not the Ojai specialist. I'm the West Coast specialist. So my relationships are from SF to La Jolla. What do you think is going to be the best method? Locally focused or West Coast and global focused?
So how does that change when you're in Bixby Knolls, where it's not
or where you have what do you do when you have number one market share?
I always say basically the same thing. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to all the movers and shakers. The most important thing I could do is talk to all the movers and shakers in this zone. That's the most important thing to do, is you got to win over all the locals, right? Like, that is what I do. When I have a listing, the first thing I do is I find out who's making moves in here. And then you want to excite those agents. I use Sly Broadcast, and I'll do a voicemail drop, and it just lets all the agents know, hey, just so you know, doing the broker preview tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. I would love to do a deal with you. Agents don't call me. Agents don't call me and tell me about their listings. Once in a blue moon, an agent in Newport Beach calls me about their listing. I run a very big team. Why aren't agents picking? Do they just not like me, or are they not calling anybody?
They're not calling anybody.
Yeah. Like, this game is actually so easy to break through if you're committed, but most agents aren't committed. So why not focus on listing $1 billion then? If my whole competition is a bunch of lazy bums who aren't really committed and aren't really going for it and aren't really getting up at 4 a.m, why don't I go and get all of it? Am I going to serve sellers at a higher level than 99% of my competition, 1,000%? So I know that about myself. Do you know that about you? Because that's the difference. And that's just my frame of mind. So with that frame of mind, I am going to go out consistently until I retire from this thing and list as many homes as I possibly can. And right now the goal is $1 billion.
And I think that level of determination, it's just going that a lot of the people do 80% of the work anyway. That's a lot of lifting, to do that extra.
Well, when you meet the rest of the agents too, I'm like, when you start to, I will say though, LA definitely has a higher level of agents who are on their shit more than Orange County, without a doubt. I meet some of the movers and shakers in LA. I'm like, dang, these guys are edgy. These guys have brands. These guys do social. These guys are aggressive. These guys know their stuff. In OC, I'm like, what is it? Okay.
Go to a $30 million open house like we do. Well, we saw you at one, and they were pretty good there. But we go to a $30 million. Yeah, and I walked into to a $12 million open, and I just took a half a step in. And by the way, the name on the sign is a huge agent, but it's not the agent that's sitting in the open house. I took one step into the house. I'm not saying it was a bad value. I was actually looking for a client friend of mine. I took one step in. I'm like, okay, he's not gonna like it. I turn around. The agent doesn't even say anything.
They're in the computer.
No, he said, oh, well, hey, can I help you? And I go, which is a step up already. I go, no, my client's not going to like this.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, okay, have a nice day.
Yeah. No, you walk into a case open house, there's music, there's candles, you're going to get greeted, you're going to get a positive vibe. Like, no matter if you look like a homeless person or you have a 3-piece suit on, it doesn't matter. My team, everybody within my organization knows, like, you better turn that thing into a party, and a very welcoming party. Don't make it boring. Music is a must.
And everything is which I love about it, it's intentional. There's purpose in everything. It's like, do it right or don't do it at all. And I think so many people just take the easy road. They're lazy.
Yeah.
And greatness is about doing the little extra things with consistency.
Do you want to try and take a few questions from people?
Sure. Yeah.
And then we'll wrap it. I mean, we could go forever, but we know who most of you are. But just say your first name and give us your question. We all right?
Yep.
Okay.
My name is Antonio Haney, and Kevin, I was for your door knocking because you said you hit 50 doors a day. What times and like days are most effective for you, like in your experience for like door knocking? Like, was it Monday through Friday?
So I like to get the most difficult things done in the AM. So no earlier though than like 9:45-ish. You know, that 9:45 to 11:30-ish was always the sweet spot. And then 4 to 6, but then it's kind of another sweet spot because if you're about to knock a door and you see them getting ready for dinner, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to be that guy. Oh gosh, yeah.
It's always we always talk about put yourself in their shoes.
Get it done in the AM.
You know?
Get it done in the AM, man. Get the most difficult stuff done in the AM.
My name's Josh, and I was going to say, you said that Sundays you spare them for family always, but did you have to earn that, right? Or have you always left Sundays free for family time?
That's a great question. I don't think I had to earn that right. I think I should have and could have chosen that a lot sooner. It's like, could I have chosen to be sober sooner? Could I, you know, did I have to earn that? If I did, I definitely earned it. I definitely earned being the commitment to sober.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I just got to comment because I'm a big believer. Everything's a choice.
Yeah.
Everything's a choice. You don't have to do anything in life, guys. It's all your choices. And we are where we are because of the decisions and the choices we made.
Yeah.
So,
and I think too, you know, there's this grind mentality, you know, and I think like my mentor talks a lot that it's align versus grind. So if you're in a space, because it doesn't matter what time if your space is jacked up, the number one most important thing is that you're in a space of joy. Like so many times we're working to obtain something else, to obtain a higher place. Like me right now, I want to focus on listing $1 billion. Mm-hmm. But if my space is worry, fear, lack, doubt. So a big goal for me is to consistently list and sell $25, $35, $45 million deals. Like I said, I've been working on this so diligently for 7 months. This is the first year where I decided to focus in on the ultra high market. And it's not a coincidence that like, if I show you my lead book right now, it's like, oh my goodness, 25, 35, 15, 25, 35. I didn't invest in some new website. I didn't start dressing differently. I just shifted my focus over to that. And right now we are mid-negotiation on a double end for $30 million. If I had aimed for this pursuit from like, I wonder if I'm capable, it wouldn't have worked. So the number one most important thing isn't when you prospect, how you prospect is, are you good? Are you not like a good salesperson, but are you in a good space of abundance?
Yeah.
Because what we want is abundance and joy and peace. Isn't that what we want?
Yep.
Joy, abundance, and peace.
Yeah. I always say, it's another way of saying gratitude.
Yeah.
If you're not grateful, I'm like you are tremendously ambitious. I'm always striving for more, but I'm extremely grateful for where I am right now, which is another way of saying what you're saying.
And what, you know, and also you answered this question, but I'll highlight it. And that is what can you do to set yourself up for that type of mindset? Yeah. And you already answered the question because you have this routine where you're journaling at a certain time every single day, and you're writing that it's being purposeful about gratitude.
And it's not sort of like my morning process is not sort of. Like it's not it is a diligent process of what I do when I wake up in the sauna, in the plunge, write my stuff down, and then box training or like I am very committed to that process because I know it's what I call it putting my armor on. Every day is going to be a battle. The amount of stuff that I have to deal with on a daily basis is insane.
Oh yeah.
And it also, what it does is
has to deal
it gives you wins early on. It creates momentum.
Yeah,
so
you're
you've
feeling
won already.
good. Something happens, I'm like, I don't need to. I don't put that. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, like this is my bat line, right? So this is like on my bat line. Do you see how many unread text messages there are?
Oh yeah.
So I have 538 unread text messages on my bat line.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, nobody ever beats
773.
Dang. Well, I have a second one. On this one, I have 545. So that means I got 1,200. Point being, why? Because there's the things that you've got to do. And then there's everybody else's agenda for what your life is. And you're just like, dude.
It's called being proactive and not reactive.
Yeah.
Hey, Kev, I'm Brandon. Thanks for doing this, by the way.
Yeah.
Super grateful.
Heck yeah.
I have a question. When you were earlier on, before you had the massive success, after you restarted your career, how did you stay in alignment with that vibration of where you were going when you haven't been there yet? And then, dealing with, from the past, right? Detaching from that and staying in alignment. How are you constantly realigning yourself?
I think that's a really good question. And I think that's why that grind that you have to do in the beginning, like my whole thing was massive action. And I was taking so much action, 1,000 doors a month, another 500 contacts a month on Mojo, social media. You're not going to do, if you do that much action and you don't get some wins,
it's hard to lose.
You just leave. There's something off.
And it's that statement, the qualities and the quantity. If you just do enough.
Here's the other thing that I would say though. I was celebrating just doing my knocks. So I can have a 50 door session and I just got told to kick rocks by every single person. When I just show up, I'm like, you did it. Good job.
Embrace the process.
Good. So I was celebrating just that I freaking showed up. You know what I mean?
It's a big deal.
That's the huge, so many people only celebrate when they get a listing or close a sale. I'm like, that's the only time you celebrate?
Yeah.
You're only going to celebrate 12 times a year? So I just celebrate just having integrity and like, still
Which
sober.
is the effort, right? Celebrate the effort. Celebrate the process.
Sure.
The results will come in time.
They will come in time.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we'll take one more.
Two more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does somebody else have?
Postboo has one.
All right. Yeah. Pass that mic along. So
how do you separate yourself from all the like TV shows and all those stars? Because you're obviously competing with the biggest, but some people just want to mess with them because they have clout.
Yeah.
So how do you compete and how do you not get intimidated when someone says, "Oh, I want to be with like Oppenheimer. I want to be with," So
I think you got to be honest and just realize they're saying less about that person and more about you. And so if you got a shot at the table, there was something missing that didn't grab them enough. Mm-hmm. Something missing that didn't grab them enough. Now you're still going to get those objections. And you want to have a good objection handler for it. This is just sales. This is a whole thing that we do. Instagram and marketing and being a Jedi at that is the cherry on top. Let's not get it twisted. Mm-hmm. All that stuff is, I can not go on Instagram. I can shut my Instagram down. I could shut all content down and I can guarantee you I'll still do 250 million a year. And I could go to a new company and I can change my name even. And I will still do 250 million a year because I have mastered, I think pretty close to 3 things. Mm-hmm. Blah, blah, blah. I know any script, any objection handler like the back of my hand. So if the objection handler is, we're considering, we want to go with so-and-so because they have the TV show. And
it's going to bring all this attention to the property.
I get it. Shoot, I get that completely. Can I tell you what makes me a little nervous about XYZ TV show agent? I said, sure. Well, that's a second job. Ask them how much time and attention that job takes. So not only are you not going to have their attention now, and this is a really easy objection handler when you're just getting going, right? When you're just getting going, you're like, here's the reality. They have 20 other kids that they got to take care of. They have 20 other kids that they got to take care of and a TV show they have to balance. How much time and attention are you really going to get? The reality is they're awesome, by the way, but you're just going to get treated like another one. I'm going to treat you like my number one.
A good friend of mine.
No, but did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Like, don't get it twisted.
Yep.
The most important thing is your ability to close them and have them say, that's pretty good. You want them to say, you're a good salesperson. I can handle any objection. Doesn't matter Josh or Oppenheimer, blah, blah. Now, is the objection going to work? I don't know. But I am very confident with being able to tell them they're good people, right? But do you want to get treated like just another number, or do you deserve to be treated as someone's number one? You can look me up. You can see I have sold nowhere close to what the TV guys have sold for. But who's going to work harder for you? Number 3 or number 50? And that's who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be showing up before and leaving later, while they're not going to be showing up at all. And I think you know that. And I think that's why you had me over. Is that safe to say? And they say, yeah, I think so. Should we do this deal? Should we do this deal?
Yep.
Right? And so are you in love with the sales process? Or are you just trying to look cool on Instagram? Mm-hmm. If they give you the shot, are you a lethal closer? Because it's going to, more than anything else, if you get a shot at the table, you're freaking halfway there. Yeah. Now you got to know that script. And if you know the script, you can, dude, I got my first $35 million listing while I was still with Keller Williams, and my Keller Williams office was in Long Beach. And I listed a $35 million home in Laguna Beach. People don't care. Do I believe you're a good person and you know your stuff? That's all there is to it. And it's just a freaking listing. It's just this 8-page thing. I don't know how long the contract is now, but it's just this thing that says, I'm going to go work my ass off for you for free. And I'm going to be your babysitter, your property manager, your event coordinator, your therapist. I'm going to be your everything for the next 6 months. And I might not make $1. And I could get fired along the way. Do you think I could do this job? Great. Shake their hand. Great. Yep. Let's go.
I love it.
Yep.
All right. I think that's I will say, do you want to give them two or three fire round questions just fast. Because we do this in every, and it'll be fast because quick question, quick answer. We won't comment. All right. Have at it. Fire round.
What's the attribute you most admire in others?
Resilience.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, I had kind of a traumatic childhood, but I know there's something in there. Probably cruising around with my dad. He had a convertible MG, and he would stop at buildings and he would just point at things and be like, that architecture, you see that gargoyle, whatever those things are called, and you see that design on the side. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And now when I'm with my kids, I'm like, look at the design of that building. Yeah, it's probably cruising around with my dad.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the talent that you'd most like to have?
I'd like to speak some other languages besides Ebonics, more languages, because then it gives you more opportunity to connect with other people. I don't speak any other languages. Come on.
What's an insult that you received that you're proud of?
You're a high school dropout. Yeah.
Who do you most admire?
My mom, my wife, my mother-in-law.
So Kevin, you go on a long hike, go all the way up top of the hill, hard work. You get to the top of that hike and you look down and it's your family and it's your colleagues from work and your clients and your whole community, and you shout one thing. What do you shout?
I'd say I'd shout, enjoy the process.
Love it.
Love it.
Hey.
Awesome, brother.
Thank you.
Really magical, man.